Guys, I was recently down at the UNC Chapel Hill campus for the Carolina Sports Journalism Camp, and it was one of the coolest experiences that I've ever done. Not only because I got to go to the football field, the basketball court, and meet some players and some professionals in the field of sports journalism, but also I got to meet a lot of really cool sports fans, and we talked the whole week. And today I'm going to be talking with one of my good friends, Christian, who works on NFL Updates Express, and we're going to talk all about the upcoming NFL season. So here are our 17 burning questions for the 2017 football season.
All right, so it's definitely an honor to be on Riker Rants here. I'm NFL Updates Express, Christian Clark from Virginia, and it's just an honor to be on this show. So without further ado, here we go. So my first question to you, Mr. Riker, is can 3 teams from the NFC South or East make the playoffs?
So the NFC East and NFC South are both very talented. Last year we saw 2 teams come out of the NFC East, with the Cowboys getting the top seed in the NFC, as well as the Giants getting the 5th seed. I think that division will be strong again. I could definitely see those 2. And the Eagles and Redskins are going to be in playoff contention, I believe. The Redskins were there until the very, very end, but they will be facing stiff competition for the remaining wild cards from mainly the NFC South, because I don't see the other 2 divisions doing much this year. So the NFC South, there are 4 teams who all have a really, really good chance to win the division. You see the Panthers, who were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, your team. We see the Falcons, who were in the Super Bowl last year, blew that 28-3 lead. There's also the Buccaneers, who I picked to go to the playoffs last year, and everybody thought I was crazy. They came real close, but they didn't get it either. And the Saints, who have perpetually finished 7-9, but are looking to make it back this year with Drew Brees and recent acquisition Adrian Peterson. So I think both of these teams have that potential. I think what it's going to come down to is the strength of the schedule. We see the NFC East going against the AFC West, which is probably the best division in football this year, so that's going to be tough. That's a little bit offset because they're also against the NFC West, which is probably the weakest division in football, with only the Seahawks as like a true playoff contender. On the other hand, you have the NFC South, which goes against the East, which is a pretty weak division, but the NFC North, which is also a team where I only see one true contender. So I would give the edge to the NFC South, which hasn't had a wild card team since Atlanta in 2011, but they have so many teams that could not only get to the playoffs but go far. Christian?
All right, so I definitely agree with a lot of the points you said. It's definitely going to be stiff competition because having 3 teams in one division for the playoffs, that's just, I mean, it's really insane. But I think the NFC South is the more likely division to do it. I think the NFC East, I think definitely the Cowboys are going to be in it, being a Super Bowl contender, 13-3 last year. And I also think the New York Giants, they had a rough playoff debut with Odell and Sterling Shepard, their little boat trip in Miami. But I think they're going to be right back in it. They added Brandon Marshall, another receiver. They lost Victor Cruz, but he kind of had lost a step, so I don't think it's really going to affect them that much. I think their defense will definitely continue to be in that top 5 echelon, and I think the Giants will be right there. Now, the big question for me would be the back end of that division with the Washington Redskins and Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Redskins, it really depends if Kirk Cousins can build off of a pretty solid season last year. He had spurts where he looked like a top 10 quarterback, like against Dallas on Thanksgiving. And he had some other games which he really struggled. And so I looked at the Redskins to be that key team to see if 3 teams from the East could get in. But honestly, I could see maximum 2 teams in that division. I think the Eagles are definitely improving, but just stiff competition. NFC East is definitely one of the best divisions in all of football right now. And I really believe that two teams will come just because of the stiff competition. And I also think teams like Dallas and the Giants might have a lesser record, not on a detriment to their talent, but I just think because of the competition that they're facing, their records won't look as good. But I think that they're more the talented teams than maybe like a team like Seattle that plays easier teams like the Rams or something like that.
Yeah.
And as for the NFC South, I would say I definitely agree with you. I think the NFC South does have an edge. They also play some tough competition, but I mean, I think definitely the Panthers will have a bounce back season. The Falcons, it's going to be interesting to see because Mike Shanahan obviously is not going to be the coordinator, and some people didn't like his calling in the Super Bowl, and I definitely agree. He had a bad second half, but he was definitely talented, helped Matt Ryan get the MVP award. And for the Buccaneers, they're definitely on the rise, and even if they don't make the playoffs this year, they definitely have a bright future. Jameis Winston, some new weapons, and O.J. Howard and Deshaun Jackson. So I think the Bucs are going to be right there. I actually have the Bucs in the playoffs. We're going to have to tune in and see what I say about that later. But I think that the Buccaneers are going to be right there. And then the Saints, like you said, perpetually 7-9, and I predicted them to go 7-9 again, just so we know.
Okay.
But
playing it safe.
I think, yeah, just playing it safe, keeping it consistent. But I think the Saints, though, I mean, they have the potential. I could see them if their defense gets straightened out, because a couple of years ago, they were a top 10 defense. There was this 1 year in between their usual bottom 5 finish where they actually played pretty good defense. I think it was 2013, if I'm correct, with Cam Jordan posting double-digit sacks. So I think right there they're going to be in it. So I think all 4 teams in that division are talented. I give the edge to the South, but I think ultimately 2 teams out of that division will come through.
Okay. Now we're going to continue on to one of my questions. So 6 quarterbacks have been selected in the first round over the past 2 seasons, and all 6 have been traded. The teams that have selected them have traded up to get the pick. Traditionally, if we look at history, that doesn't bode well for quarterbacks. And so going into this season, which of the 6 quarterbacks are going to play the best? And just to give you guys the list, it's Jared Goff from 2016, and Carson Wentz 2016, Paxton Lynch 2016, and then this year's quarterbacks, Mitch Trubisky 2017, Patrick Mahomes 2017, and Deshaun Watson 2017. Christian?
All right, well, this one I really had to think about for a while. Now, first of all, I don't think Trubisky's going to start and as well as Mahomes right off the bat, so I immediately eliminated them off. But I think that Mahomes is in a really good situation in Kansas City where he does similar things to Alex Smith. He's not really going to have to do too much in that offense as they don't really pass to receivers anyway. They're more a team that runs the football with Kendrick West, Spencer Ware, and those type of guys. And then obviously Travis Kelce, the tight end, is really their number 1 target. So I think Mahomes, if he supplants Alex Smith as the number 1, which I don't see happening this season, but you never know. So I see Mahomes being in a good spot, but not this season, more looking to the 2018 season. And then I would say for Trubisky, I just don't think the Bears right now are in the situation where they're going to be competing. I think they could win a maximum of 5 games, but that's only in the right situation, so I don't really see that happening there. And I think for this season, I'm going to give you 2 answers, kind of cheating here. But I think I'm going to give you one from last year and this year. So this year, I think Deshaun Watson is in the best situation. I don't necessarily think he's the most talented quarterback in this draft. I have to think about that. But I think because of the situation that he's in, with a really good defense, Jadeveon Clowney and J.J. Watt, and a great corner down there. And I think the weapons in Houston are underrated. I think Deshaun Watson, Will Fuller, the tight end C.J. Fedorowicz. So I think they have the potential. If Deshaun Watson can cut down on his turnovers, I think he had about 15 or 16 picks at Clemson. So I think he needs to work on that because the one thing that Houston has really destroyed them, Brock Osweiler turning the football over constantly. And I mean, Houston could be a Super Bowl contender, perhaps, if Deshaun is any better than either Tom Savage is, because he's slated to start now, even though I don't see that lasting long,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
Osweiler. And then I'll kind of go express mode here, because I've been rambling. But for last year, I've never really been a big Goff fan, but I think Jared Goff is going to improve, knowing that
Okay.
this is his team. I think he's. I just don't know. I mean, Todd Gurley, he was inconsistent last year. Teams just put 8 in the box and said, "Hey, beat me with your arm," and the Rams simply couldn't do that.
Yeah, now they get McVay too. That should help.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to help. And I mean, I expect the Rams to be a little bit better. I don't see them being a playoff contender quite yet, but I see the Rams being a little bit better if their defense can keep the track. Because we've all known that the Rams have had a pretty solid defense, but their offense has left much to be desired on that part. Now the quarterback I'm going to choose. Now it was tough for me to pick between Paxton Lynch and Carson Wentz, but I'm going to go Wentz. Now I know Paxton Lynch, he has a really good defense. I mean, the Broncos went 9-7 with Simeon last year, and if Lynch starts this year, he could pick off where that is. But I just think that right now Carson Wentz is the best quarterback from the 2016 draft, and I think he's going to continue to build on that. Now I already addressed how the NFC East definitely has a lot of competition, and that's definitely going to affect Wentz's development. Where if he was in a division like the AFC South, perhaps he might make the playoffs this season. So I think I'm going to pick Carson Wentz. I think the addition of Alshon Jeffrey and LeGarrette Blount offensively is going to help them. They have Mac Hollins, who they drafted from UNC.
Yeah, Wooten.
Oh yeah, UNC. Let's go. So I really think that Carson Wentz in the best position to succeed, not only for this season but for the future.
Okay. Yeah, my guy Dak Prescott's not on that list because we stole him in the 4th round. But like you, I also wanted to cheat and have 2 picks. One of those was Wentz, and the other one was also Watson. But I'm gonna go with Watson in this pick. I don't know if he's gonna start week 1, but I really like the situation that he's in. He has a quarterback coach in Bill O'Brien, who has worked with a lot of guys. I mean, it hasn't shown in the Texans' recent seasons, but I think that O'Brien-Watson combination is going to be really good. They have a great running game. They have the receivers, a lot of talent there. They also have probably one defense. I think that this could rival the Denver defense as the best in the conference. And I think Watson's just a winner. I think that he's going to find ways, even as a rookie, to have a Dak Prescott-like year and bring Houston another AFC South title.
All right. I definitely agree with that. I think Houston definitely gives Deshaun the best chance to succeed, and he is a winner. I mean, we saw 2 seconds left winning the national championship, so I think Deshaun's definitely in the best position to succeed.
And against Alabama, too.
Oh, yeah, true. Best defense.
Yeah, no bums there.
All right, so to my question, I guess. So, which rookie running back, will have the best season? Leonard Fournette, Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, or Joe Mixon?
Okay. This was very difficult for me, choosing between the first 2 picks in the draft, Leonard Fournette from Jacksonville and Christian McCaffrey from Carolina. With this pick, I'm going to go with Leonard Fournette from Jacksonville. I think that he's going to be the central point of that offense. We could see him maybe having an Ezekiel Elliott type role where he's just a workhorse of the team. And I think that his addition to the Jacksonville offense is not as good as an offensive line, but I do think that could win them a couple more games. He was a very bruising runner at LSU, just like Elliott was at Ohio State. And I don't think the Jaguars are going to make the playoffs. I could very easily see them back in the AFC South cellar. But I think that he is definitely a contender for Rookie of the Year. I'm just going to touch on McCaffrey for a second. I was really impressed with him at Stanford. He's multidimensional, and he's going to really add an element that the Panthers' offense hasn't had and make them really scary. But Fournette, I think, is going to be the workhorse, and that's what separates the two for me.
kind of agree with you that I was going to go Christian McCaffrey, but I think with McCaffrey, now a lot of people assuming that McCaffrey is going to supplant the number one spot in Carolina, but I don't see that happening. Being a Panthers guy, I know Jonathan Stewart with Ron Rivera, what they're going to do is have McCaffrey kind of be the third down role, kind of mix in there. In Carolina, they had double trouble back in 2009.
Yeah, I remember.
They had D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart for over 1,000 yards on the ground, and I don't see that necessarily being the case in 2017. But I think you'll have a kind of a taste of it. Carolina has 3 running backs that I think can really make an impact. Because I believe Jonathan Stewart will be the starter for this season. Now, next season may be a different question. But I think McCaffrey, they're going to definitely play him in the slot. That's what they're planning to do, being that third down guy that can be shifty, definitely in the red zone. They'll use him to help Cam Newton.
Yeah.
And then they also have Fozzie Whitaker, another third down shifty back that they can use.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Carolina has a talented backfield. But I
a little crowded.
Yeah, they're definitely a little crowded. Same thing with Cincinnati. That's why I didn't go with Joe Mixon. They got Giovanni Bernard, Jeremy Hill. Now they might cut one of them if they feel like Mixon is head and shoulders above them. But I think for this season, Mixon's going to be in the back of the depth chart. Dalvin Cook, I almost went because I just thought, hey, Latavius Murray, he's already dealing with an injury right now, and Dalvin Cook is really talented from FSU. He could catch passes out of the backfield too. We saw some of his big runs in college. So I almost went with him, but I just think, like you said, Leonard Fournette, they're in an easy division in the AFC South. They do have to play the Texans defense, but I just think I think teams will stack the box. But I think with Allen Robinson, I think Bortles will be a little bit better than he was last season. So I have Leonard Fournette being the top running back.
Okay. So which team is best poised to end its playoff drought?
All right. So for this one, well, I had a lot of options.
Yeah.
I just went with the obvious pick that many people were saying. I'm just going to say the Tennessee Titans. And a lot of people, I just think they're really good. They were 9-7, I believe, last year, and they were so close to the playoffs. Mariota suffered an injury against Jacksonville in Week 16, which really derailed their chances. And if it wasn't for a last-second field goal by Houston around Christmas Day, I believe, then the Titans would have been in the playoffs. Now, They probably lost that game. But just to see how close they came, they had some really amazing wins last season. They destroyed Green Bay, and I forgot what week it was.
Oh, yeah.
They put almost a 50-burger on them. And then they had a big win against Kansas City. Ryan Suckup hit a big one there, and Arrowhead. So I found that to be really impressive. And I just think the Titans, with their weapons, they had Aaron Decker, who they acquired from the Jets. Obviously, DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry, they're definitely going to be a great tandem in the backfield. And then they drafted Corey Davis at 5 overall. So I think Titans are going to be right there. I think they can be that team that can make some noise.
Yeah. I was going to go with Tennessee, which hasn't made it since 2008, the Kerry Collins year. That was a while ago. But with this pick, I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, my pick last year. I know you were saying that they're definitely on the rise. I saw, like the Titans, they were 9-7 last year. And they're also 4-2 in their division. It's going to be a tough division. We touched on this earlier. But all 4 teams are going to be playoff worthy. Hate the Saints all you want. But you look at this team. Jameis win a very good MVP caliber quarterback, and Mike, I believe, is a top 5 receiver in today's game. He got he got a very high number of targets last year. Thankfully, for Tampa Bay, they had Deshaun Watson coming from Washington from the Redskins. So adds another dimension, and on top of that, they added tight end O.J. Howard. So that is going to be a passing attack that nobody wants to face. And also the defense has a lot of pieces that I think this year Tampa Bay can put it together. They have Levante David, linebacker. They have in their defensive line. They have Gerald McCoy. They have a lot of really solid guys, and this showed last year. They won 5 more games than expected and finished over 100. Now, this isn't a franchise that's been known for stability. Haven't been in a while, but I definitely think that if they can get their running game going, that offense is going to be one that nobody wants to face, and the Bucs will be playoff.